Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today I'm taking a look at Chaos Battletome, Maggotkin of Nurgle, which was kindly sent to me as a free sample to check out by Games Workshop. So, what do we got here? Well, we have, I guess this is the third Battletome now. We have had the lovely Orc War Clans, Stormcast Eternals, and now Nurgle. Everybody's favorite, everybody's fan favorite, easy to paint, fun. Like chaos power. Grandfather Nurgle. He's the happy one of the bunch. He's not angry like Khorne or weird and creepy like Slaanesh, or, you know, just always cheats at everything like Tzeentch. He's just a good time. He likes to hang out, likes to give people presents. You know, those presents might be diphtheria, but at least he's in the spirit of giving, and as it is the holidays, the spirit of giving is where we're at. So, what do we got? Well, we got a new profile. I guess a couple new profiles. There's some cool stuff in here from Warhammer Underworlds, and of course some new profiles for just some of the older miniatures. But a new model. It's the, oh, I've forgotten his name already. He's the, not Slobberdoobah Piper. He's the Lord of Afflictions. That's his name. It's always Lord of something in this army. We've got new profiles and new sort of like reworking for how summoning works, and of course, you know, what's going on with Papa Nurgle. Where's he at? He's been fighting in, of course, the Realm of Life before. He's fighting Alariel. Now they're going to the Hish to fight the Lumineth, beating dudes up. And of course, he's beefing with. Oh, I love this old piece of art. Look at it. I don't even know if this is an old piece of art, but it's in the style of an old piece of art, so it's pretty rad. He's beefing with, you know, Nagash as per usual. So an overview of who they are. Lovely color plates. The Garden of Nurgle. See, I don't know if it's actually old art, because I think I've seen this before. I think this was with Hortica Slimix. This is actually like when that came out. Yeah, because there's Slimix, I think, up there. But what a great piece of like classic style art. It's very much channeling John Blanche. I dig it. Sowing the Garden. So what's been going on in the whatchamacallit, the Maggotkin going into Garan. The March of Entropy, sort of like the timeline for everything that's been happening. The Infectious Host, so some background on the modals and the demons and how they fight together. The different factions within, and then, oh my god, let's just keep going to the color section for cool models. Okay, so here we go. Cool models, the Rotbringer Sorcerer, that's a new one right there. Beautiful mini. Hortica Slimix, that was the one from the Plague box set that came with the Stormcast and stuff. The last time this guy got released, and then all of the demons. The Glotkin, who's still around, even though it's not the end times anymore. They survived, obviously, in the warp for a while. Demon units. Orgoth's Demon Spew, and Morbidex Twiceborn, the sort of like Nurgle Riders. All the mortal stuff, including the Blight Kings, who are very cool and in the new Vanguard box. The Happy Little Beast of Nurgle. Plague Drones, and then the newer stuff, so the Wormspat, and actually the Harbinger Decay. I don't know how this is still in here. This miniature is a beautiful Jez Goodwin. I'm pretty sure it's Jez Goodwin. Actually, no, it's Juan Diaz, I think. Juan Diaz sculpted those for the four Chaos models from Storm of Chaos. I love this miniature. I still have one actually painted up. What a great model. I love that it's in here. I love that it's still around. Festus the Leech Lord, and of course the Wormspat, which is the last of the stuff to come out for these guys from Underworlds. Painting guides using contrast paints. I'm going to steal a bunch of ideas from this. How to do rust, that's, I know how to do that. But this one, Death Guard green over Corax white, that's pretty cool. Athonian camo shade, and then more Death Guard green. I'm going to look at the contrast way of doing it though, because I do like painting stuff fast. All right, we're diving in. So Armies of the Plague God. Let's get to some rules, Ash. You take forever to talk about all the other things in the book. Well, we got some army rules. We got some Path to Glory rules, of course, which is the new sort of like way of playing narrative play games, and then the match play rules. So, battle traits. Plague Legions and Contagiums. You can pick one of the following sub-factions for your army. All Maggotkin of Nurgle gain the following keywords. Either Munificent Wanderers, Befouling Host, Droning Guard, Blessed Sons, Drowned Men, or Filth Bringers. They are diseased. Now this is a new function, disease counters. At the end of your movement phase, at the end of the combat phase, give a disease point to each enemy unit within 3 of any friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle units. Unit can have a maximum of 7 of these, of course, Nurgle's magic number, It can't be given any more than the number of 7. At the start of the battle shock phase, for each disease point an enemy unit has, you must make a dice roll, called a disease roll. For each 4+, the unit suffers a mortal wound. At the end of the battle shock phase, you reduce all the disease points an enemy unit has to 1. So, holy crap. If you're just engaged with them, and remember, it's every unit, so all your characters within 3 gain disease points, and there's tons of other ways to give disease points to units too. And then half those disease points come off as mortal wounds. That's gross. Disease weapons. If an unmodified hit roll for attack made with a missile weapon or melee weapon by a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle model is a 6, gain a disease point, in addition to all damage that it takes. So you're building these up, and of course your demons are doing lots of dice rolls. You have lots of high attack units, like just rolling lots of dice, meaning you're gonna build up disease points quickly, and then just passively, just by being nearby, everybody gets 1. Healing disease points. When a player uses an ability that would allow them to heal any wounds they have allocated to them, for each wound they would be allowed to heal, they can also remove disease points. So you have ways of taking them off. And then Legions of Chaos, you can include coalition units in the following way. 2 in every 4 units can be Slaves to Darkness with the Mark of Chaos keyword, and they must be given Nurgle. And then 1 in 4 can be Clan Pestilence. 1 in every 4 units can be Beast of Chaos units that do not have the Tzeentch keyword, and the unit gains the Nurgle keyword. So that's pretty cool. You can have literally 2 in 4, so half your units can be Slaves of Darkness, a quarter can be Pestilence, and a quarter can be Beast of Chaos. And then coalition units are ignored for determining whether or not your army's from a single faction, and they can't be generals. Disgustingly resilient. Friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle unit models have a 5+ ward. In addition, at the start of your hero phase, you can heal a wound allocated to every friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle unit. Or model, actually, not even unit. Your Locus of Fecundity. Great Unclean Ones, Horticlus Slimix, the Glotkin, and Festus the Leech Lord. The Disgusting Resilient trait heals D3 wounds instead of 1. If that model's unit is within 14 of any of the Loci Fecundity models. So they all heal D3 instead of 1, and anybody within 14 of them also, or wholly within 14, also heals D3. So you got a lot of resurgence. And then summon demons in Nurgle. So they made this way simpler, which I like. You can summon Nurgle demon units and feculent narwhals to the battlefield if you have enough contagion points to do so. You get 3 contagion points in your hero phase if there's any Maggotkin of Nurgle models wholly within your territory, and 3 if there's any friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle models wholly within your opponent's territory. Then you get 1 for every your CCPs for territories. If you receive CPs for a territory and there are no enemy models in that territory, you get an extra CP. That's right. If you have any CPs at the end of your movement phase, you can summon 1 unit or train feature from the unit thing listed below. So basically, you get 7 CPs per turn, as long as a territory has no enemy models in it and you have models in it. You get 8 total, basically, if you get both. Units must be set up more than 9 from the enemy and wholly within 7 of a hero or a feculent narwhal. So the narwhals don't get you contagion points anymore. They're just locuses for summoning stuff. Feculent narwhals must be set up more than 7 from other feculent narwhals and more than 3 from all their models, train features, endless spells, and invocations. And then it's 7 for a Scrivener, 7 for a Bilepiper, 8 for Nurgling Swarms of 3, 9 for a Gnarlmaw, 10 for a Beast of Nurgle, 12 for a Plaguebearer, 14 for Plaguebearers with 10 models, 18 for Plague Drones with 3 models, and 30 for a Great Unclean One. So over the course of a game, let's say you get 7 per turn, you probably just want to have 10 extra Plaguebearers nearby, maybe a Poxbringer. I feel maybe Nurglings. I feel like there's like the Plaguebearer is what I'd want to have. I don't think I'm ever getting a free Great Unclean One with 30, unless I'm saving up for the whole game, and then at that point, what are they doing in the course of the game? But every other turn, I could bring in, Plaguebearers if I've got stuff in every territory. The Cycle of Corruption. Now it still exists. At the start of the battle round, you roll a die to see where it starts, and then it goes through. There are ways of moving it around too. So, Corrupted Regrowth. At the start of your hero phase, you earn an extra CP for each feculent Gnarlmaw in your army that's on the battlefield. That just happens all the time, apparently. And then Unnatural Vitality. All Maggotkin of Nurgle heroes gain a ward of 4+. On 1, Fecund Vigor. All units are treated as being within 14 of a locus of fecundity. 3, the Burgeoning. At the start of your hero phase, roll a number of dice equal to the number current battle round. On a 4+ get extra CP. Plague of Misery. Heroes that do not have the Nurgle keyword cannot carry out heroic actions or issue the Rally or Inspiring Presence commands. That's crazy. Nauseous Revulsion. Subtract 1 from the charge rolls for enemy units that do not have the Nurgle keyword. Enemy units that don't have the Nurgle keyword cannot finish a pile and move closer to a friendly Nurgle unit than they were at the start of the move, so no piling in either. That one is a gross one. And then Rampant Disease, add 1 to your disease roll, so you do mortal wounds on a 3+. Oh my god. It's pretty good. 5 and 6 are the crazy ones. You can't pile in closer to Nurgle units. Actually, 4, 5, and they're all, you know what, never mind, they're all good. You kind of want to start on 1 to like weather the shooting, and then heal on 2, and then on 3 get extra CPs. 4 and 5, because you don't get through all 6. So you kind of want to start, I don't know, you kind of want to start on 2. There's a bunch. And then your enhancements. So here we go. So we've got our Lord of the Rotbringers, so Maggotkin of Nurgle, mortals only. You can get the Grandfather's Blessing once per battle at the start of the battle round after the cycle's advanced. If this general has not been slain, you can move the cycle 1 stage forward. If more than one player could move that, then none can. Infernal Conduit. If this general is on the battlefield at the start of your hero phase, roll a die. On a 1, nothing happens. 2 to 5 get a contagion point. 6 get D3 contagion points. That's every hero phase. So you can earn more if you want to build a summoning army, I guess. It's only during your hero phase, though, not both hero phases. Living Plague. Start of your hero phase, roll dice for each enemy unit within 7. On a 2+, give them a disease point, and you receive a contagion point. That one's also really good once you get within melee combat. That would be a really good one to give to like the mounted general, mortal general. Avalanche of Rotten Flesh. After this general's made a charge move, pick a unit within 1 and roll a number of dice equal to the charge move. On a 6, do a mortal wound and give them a disease point. And then it's each one. So you get Ogre Impact hits that also give it disease points. Bloated with Corruption. If the unmodified Disgusting Resilient Ward save is a 6, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 3 and give them a disease point. And then Overpowering Stench. Enemy units within 7 cannot issue commands and cannot receive commands. That's also really good. Now it's on mortals, so no giving it to your big boys, but it's still really cool. Avatars of Corruption. This is for your demon heroes. And so there's 3. Gift of Febrile Frenzy. Once per battle at the start of your combat phase, you can say this general will release a Sickening Fever. If you do so until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle units wholly within 7. So you get +1 attack aura once per game. Nurgling Infestation. -1 to hit rolls that target the general. In addition, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly Nurgling swarms that are within 7. I think that one's great because it's not once per game. And then Pestilent Breath. At the start of your shooting phase, pick an enemy unit within 7. Roll a die for each model in the unit that's within 7 of the general. On a 5+, take a mortal wound. That one's also amazing. Artifacts of Power. So these are all for your mortals. The Eye of Nurgle. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, if there's any enemy units within 14 of the bearer that have any disease points, roll 2d6. If the roll is 7, the closest enemy model to the bearer that is in that unit that has any disease points is slain. Slain. Once per battle, if there's any enemy units within 14 of the bearer that have disease points, roll 2d6. If the roll is 7, the closest enemy model to the bearer that's in that unit that has any disease points is slain. So pick a character. I don't know. Let's say a dragon. Let's say Archeon. Anybody that doesn't have a special rule, it means they can't just automatically be slain. Make sure they have a disease point on them because there's a million ways to do it, and then just roll the average dice roll on 2d6 and they're dead. That's going to be a gotcha that people are going to hate. It's probably not going to happen every game because it's once per battle and you get 1 chance at it, but it could be real game changing. The Fetid Shroud. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero that is not a monster and is within 3 of the bearer. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that hero in that phase and add 1 for ones that target him in that phase. So basically, call them out. Shield of Growths. You can reroll save rolls for attacks target the bearer if the save roll is equal to or less than the number of wounds allocated to the bearer. Flesh Peeler. When this cursed bell is tolled, and that's actually really cool because Yeah, because you basically, the more damage you get, the better it gets. Flesh Peeler. In your hero phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit that's within 7 of the bear. On a 4+, give them a disease point. The Splithorn Helm. Your disgustingly resilient ward is 4+. Once per battle, the Fecund Flask. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, you can say you'll drink from it. On a 2+, heal all wounds. On a 1, you're dead. But if you're slain, before you're removed, you can add a Beast of Nurgle that has 1 model within 1 of the bear. Beast of Nurgle unit can only be set up within 3 enemy units if they're already within 3 enemy units when it was slain. So you can just turn into a Beast of Nurgle, which is really funny. The Mutter Grub. The bear can attempt to cast the Gift of Disease spell in the hero phase as if you were a wizard. It's basically it's a grub that's a wizard that sits in your ear, whispering magic to you. If the bear is a wizard, they know the Gift of Disease spell in addition to, and you can add 1 to the casting roll when they attempt to call a Gift of Disease. That's really funny. The Rust Fang. Once per battle, at the start of your combat phase, you can pick an enemy hero within 3, subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target that hero for the rest of the battle. Holy moly. And then your Demonic Boons of Nurgle. So Maggotkin demon heroes only. Bountiful Swarm. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, pick an enemy model within 3 of the bear and then roll a die. If the roll is greater than the model's wounds characteristic, it's slain. If that model is slain and has a wound characteristic of 4 or more, but before it's removed from play, you can add a Beast Nurgle unit to your army. Unit of 1. Can only be within 3 if it was already within 3. So basically just make a Beast Nurgle. Endless Gift. You have always being within 14 of a locus of fecundity. Noxious Nexus. This bear counts as 2 units instead of 1 for the purpose of the diseased battle trait. Nurgle's Hail. Pick one of the bear's melee weapons. Attacks made with that weapon inflict 1 disease point on the target on an unmodified hit roll of 5 or 6 instead of just 6. Tome of 1,000 Poxes. The bear can cast this Gift of Disease, so basically the same as this. And the Wither Stave, add 1 disease rolls for enemy units that are within 7 of the bearer, so 3+ mortal wounds. Oh, that one's going to be really good. And then your spell lores, 1 for mortals, 1 for demons. So the mortal ones, Magnificent Bubos, casts on 7, 21-inch range. Pick an enemy hero within range invisible. Until the next hero phase, they're -1 to hit rolls and -1 to chanting, casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls. Plague Squall, it's a spell that has a casting value of 6. If cast, roll 7 dice. For each 6, pick a different enemy unit that's visible and give them a disease point so you can have more disease on people. Cloying Quagmire, it's a spell that's a casting value of 5 and a range of 14. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. Roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or higher than the unit's save characteristic until your next hero phase, have that unit's move characteristic and subtract 2 from run and charge rolls for the unit. Blades of Putrefaction, cast on 7, range 14. If cast, pick a friendly Maggotkin Nurgle unit within range and visible. Until your next hero phase, each attack made with a missile weapon or melee weapon by that unit inflicts a disease point on a 5 or 6. And then Gift of Disease, it's a spell of casting 6, range 21. Pick an enemy unit within range and visible. Give that unit and every other unit within 7 of that unit a disease point. So just explode disease everywhere. A better Plague Squall, basically. I don't know why you would take Plague Squall. Yeah, I don't know why you'd take Plague Squall. I mean, it's unlimited range, I guess. This one has a range, but like you're going to be within 21 at some point. And then Rancid Visitations. It's a casting 6 and range of 7 inches. If cast, pick an enemy unit within range and visible to the caster and roll a dice for each model in that unit that's within range. On a 2+, they take a mortal wound. Oh my god. That's a unit melter. Now there's not giant units like there used to be. You don't see 60 model units as much as you used to anymore, but like, that's, if you're in 7 and get off Rancid Visitations on a big unit like goblins or something, that's crazy. And they're all within 70. Like if you're in melee, you just go Rancid Visitations and 60 goblins just explode. Crazy. Because it's a 2+ mortal wound. That's a huge, huge jump. So it's interesting, Lord of Malignance is pretty different than the last lore because they're leaning into this disease mechanic. You've got 1, 2, 3 spells basically that are about giving out more disease points. The army is leaning into that, but disease points are a new function and available only to Nurgle, and you can't stop it. It's a very interesting mechanic because it makes it so that you have these units you just can't rely on necessarily. Like they just melt all of a sudden during the battle shock phase. And because it's every battle shock phase, yep, at the start of the battle shock phase, it's each battle shock phase. Every battle round, you're getting 2 chances at this, building up and then exploding, and then building up and then exploding. So like, you can have units that you just need to hold on there, just all of a sudden disappear at the end of the battle shock phase through nothing other than just building up these points. It is an interesting mechanic too, because the Nurgle player doesn't know what's going to happen either, so he can't rely on it. You just want to put as many points out there so that hopefully some of them take effect or not. But if you just do the math and half of them work, it can be real bad, because if you don't have a ward save on units, let me tell you, just taking mortal wounds on huge high armor save stuff that is doing its job and killing the enemy units, but all of a sudden is building up all these disease points, it could be bad. All right, Lore of Virulence for your demons. Favored Poxes, cast on 7, range 14. Pick an enemy unit that's visible and in range. Until the caster moves, attacks, makes a casting or unbinding roll, or is slain, subtract 1 from hit and wound rolls for attacks made by that unit, and subtract 1 from save rolls. Holy moly. So as long as your wizard sits still, forever, if this goes off, they're -1 to everything. Hit, wound, and save. So you just have a Nurgle hero. I mean, it's only range 14, so you're in the mix at that point. But just cast it, don't move or do anything else afterwards, and yeah, that unit's just cursed. Fleshy Abundance, cast on 7, range 14. Pick a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle demon unit that's within range invisible and give them +1 to their wound characteristic. This can result in a model that is affected by this spell being slain if the wounds characteristic of that model equal to or exceeds wound characteristic once the spell ends. That's really funny. So you can die basically from this. And then Stream of Corruption, cast on 6, range 7. Pick an enemy unit within range invisible. Roll a die for each model within range 5+. That unit suffers a mortal wound. So before attempting to cast a spell, you can say you're going to project the scream at greater distance. You can do it at 14-inch range, but it does a mortal wound on a 6 instead of a 5. So a way worse Rancid Visitations. Like, Rancid Visitations casts on the same thing, has the same range, and every model in the unit takes a mortal wound on a 2+. I don't know why you would take Stream of Corruption when I guess it has a longer range, but like, the Rancid Visitations is so good. And then here we go, Legions and Contagions, way less restrictive than before, obviously. No like linked enhancements to them and stuff like that. You just get a bonus. So, Munificent Wanderers, infested with wonders. If an enemy is within 3 of any of these Plaguebearer hosts that has 10 or more models, it receives 2 disease points instead of 1. Befouling Host, Festerbark Pox. A Befouling Host army that has a Demon General gets 2 free narwhals instead of 1. Droning Guard, Cloying Stench, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks target friendly plague drones in the first battle round, and in any battle round in which they were set up. Blessed Suns, if a friendly Blessed Sun model is slain within 1 of the enemy unit before picking that model up, pick an enemy unit within 1 and roll a number of dice equal to the wound characteristic of that model. For every 6, give them a disease point. So basically, when your guys die, you kind of Stormcast out. You roll a die for each of your wounds, and you can give it disease points. And then Drowned Men, I feel like this is the one people are going to want to take. After deployment, before the first battle round begins, you can move each Drowned Men Lord of Afflictions and Poscoil Blight Lords unit up to 8 inches. And remember, this unit only has a 4-inch move, so you get basically 2 moves for free. If both players can move units before the first battle round, roll up to see who goes first. And then Filthbringers, Rot Covens. You can include Rot Covens in your army. At the start of the hero phase, you can pick 1 wizard rot from each Rot Coven in your army. Add 1 of the casting, unbinding, and dispelling rolls for that wizard in that phase. Add 2 if instead of 1 if that wizard is within 3 of another wizard from the same Rot Coven. Add 3 if that wizard is within 3 of the other 2 wizards from the same Rot Coven. So if you have 3 like sorcerers together, then they get bonuses to cast for standing around near each other. Path to Glory. All right, so the Path to Glory in this one is all about seeding the Garden of Nurgle. So you're trying to seed territories, and in the Aftermath sequence, pick a territory you control, remove the territory you picked from your roster, and replace it with a corrupted version from the faction territories list. And then if your opponent is allowed to revert a territory, in step 6 of the Aftermath sequence, you're allowed to make an exploration roll. Instead, your opponent can pick 1 of your Nurgle faction territories and revert it back to its original form. So that's a really cool thing, is you're trying to corrupt the landscape, and it turns things into corrupted like places. You get your name generator, which I think is great. Quests: the Gardener of Nurgle, the Feculent Devotion, or the Spread Corruption. And then the territory is like a crawling swamp is a wildlands, meadow of arcane corruptions, an arcane waypoint, a befouled city is a small settlement, the Realmstone Reserve is a filth pit. You're trying to turn them back, and you get extra experience for doing so, which I think is super cool. Trying to make these territories all gross. Warscroll battalions, again, not super relevant, but these are match play grand strategies. So you get 4 for Nurgle in general. You can corrupt an arcane nexus. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy. You have a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle wizards within 3 of the center of the battlefield, and no enemy units are within 6 of the center of the battlefield. That one's going to be real popular. Just keep the enemy out of the middle, and yeah, be within 6. So yeah, Great Unclean One just goes and stands in the middle of the table. Tend the Garden. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there's no enemy units within 3 of any Feculent Gnarl Maws in your army, and there's a Feculent Gnarl Maw in your opponent's territory. So you have to summon one to get that one. Spread Rampant Disease. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if every enemy unit in the battlefield has a disease point. That one's going to be also super popular because it's going to be really easy to do. And then Blessed Desecration. You can pick this grand strategy only if your model you picked to be your general has the mortal keyword. If you do so after deployment, pick a terrain feature that's wholly within your enemy territory. If no terrain features are wholly within enemy territory, you can pick any terrain feature. When the battle ends, you complete it if you control that terrain feature. So I think Spread Rampant Disease is going to be the most popular because it just means give people disease points. Not every army has healing, although I guess you could Heroic Recovery a character at the end and try and get rid of them, but like, you're going to have a lot of disease points on you during the course of this, and there's a million ways to give them out. Battle Tactics. These are your Maggotkin of Nurgle only ones. Feed the Maggots. If at least 7 enemy models are slain by disease rolls during this turn, you get Feed the Maggots. I don't know how you would, I mean, I guess you could try and have a big turn. Nurture the Gnarl Maw. Pick a Feculent Gnarl Maw in your army that's within 12 enemy units. You complete this tactic if that Feculent Gnarl Maw is more than 12 from enemy units at the end of the turn. So you have to kill a bunch of guys within 12 of it. Gift to Nurgle. Complete this tactic if all friendly units were on the battlefield at the start of this turn and inflict at least 1 disease point on at least 1 enemy unit. Glory to the Grandfather. You complete this tactic at the end of this turn if more enemy units than friendly units are destroyed during this turn. So that one feels more achievable. The Droning. Complete this tactic if there's a different friendly unit with a Rotfly mount in each quarter of the battlefield at the end of the turn. And then Sudden Domination. Complete this tactic if you summon a Great Unclean One to the battlefield during this turn and it's within 3 of an objective that you control in your opponent's territory at the end of the turn. So you just bring out a Great Unclean One and you get that one. I feel like Glory to the Grandfather is the only one that's going to be super popular. Core Battalions. The Thricefold Befoulment. Take 3 Great Unclean Ones. Oh my god. But you get Magnificent. And then Rotbringer Assist. It's a Rotbringer Leader with a wound characteristic of less than 10, and then up to at least 3 mortal Maggotkin of Nurgle units that aren't Leader, Artillery, or Behemoth. And you get a single drop, unified 1-drop deployment. So basically 3 units of Blight Kings and a Maggotkin Leader, and you can be single drop. So you could take 6 units of Blight Kings. It has to be mortals though, right? So there's not that many. I guess you could do the Plague Riding mortals as well. And then we're into Warscroll. So let's pull up some stuff here, see what we can see what changed. And we'll start with old Rodigus. All right. Well, he's got 4 extra wounds. 4-inch move. His move went down. He got a little fatter, little harder to kill. His Gnarl Rod is 5 attacks, 3s and 3s. It's fixed 3s now instead of on 2s. Last one 3 damage instead of 2. So it got a bit tougher. Doesn't hit as well, but does more damage. His Fanged Maw, 1 attack, D3, 3+, -2, 2 damage. Looks like it's the same. On the table, the Fanged Maw is... Oh no, oh yeah, no, now it only hits on 3s. Yeah, the Fanged Maw hits on 2s, and then brackets kind of the same. He only brackets, his big change is that he brackets at 6. Host of Nurglings used to be 3 attacks, now it's 15 attacks? Oh my god. 5s and 5s, 1 damage. Yeah, he got 12 extra attacks with the Host of Nurglings, which is pretty cool. And then his brackets changed significantly. He only has 4 brackets now, and they start at 6. And then he drops down 5 attacks and his Fanged Maw on a 3+. And then his Mount of Loathsome Fresh is basically his the mortal wounds he does when he charges. So yeah, he goes by quarters. So up to 6, up to 12, up to 16, and then 17 plus, he's at no host of Nurgling attacks because they're all dead. 5 plus Fang Maw and only 1 impact hit. But he's a cast 2, dispel 2. He's always the general because he has the War Master rule. If an unmodified world rule for this guy's a 6, pick an enemy within 3 and they get a disease point. The Rainfather, reroll casting rolls when he attempts to cast Nurgle's Deluge. And then Mountain of Loathsome Flesh, when he makes a charge, when you can carry this monster's rampage, instead of any other monster's rampage you're supposed to carry out, pick an enemy within 3 and on a 2 plus, do that number of mortal wounds. So sorry, it's not impact hits, it's when he does his monstrous rampage. And then Deluge of Nurgle, which he re-rolls, cast on 7. Roll 7 dice for every 5 plus, pick a different enemy unit within range of the caster, and inflict D3 mortal wounds. Oh my god. It's a big mortal wound thing. So this Roddick gets a bit tougher, a bit slower. Regular old great unclean one. What do you got going on? You gain 2 wounds. Lost a move though, you're slowed down again. Noxious Bile, 7-inch range, D6, 3 plus, -2, went to -3 and 2 damage. So his Noxious Bile got more dangerous. And wounds on 2s. His brackets also changed. The Bile Sword, 4 attacks, 4s and 3. His attacks don't change in the Battle Sword anymore. So 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, -2, 4 damage. So it's fixed to hit or fixed attacks now and 4 damage. The Doomsday Bell, 5 attacks now, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. Went up by an attack, hits better and does more damage. Bile Blade is went up an attack. Went up massively in damage to damage 3, which is awesome. All those went down to range 1 though, except for the Massive Battle Sword. So all the ranges dropped on that stuff. And then Plague Flail, 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 3 damage also changed. Host of Nurglings went way up as well, 15. It's basically the same as Roddigus's. And his Noxious Bile, wounding on 2s and then goes down. Same Mountain of Loathsome Flesh rule. Cast 2 and Bind 2. Same Blood with Corruption. Same Mountain. Putrid Offering. In your hero phase, if the unit's armed with a Bile Blade, you can say it makes an offering, takes a mortal wound, that cannot be negated, but you can attempt an extra spell. So you can cast 3 by taking a mortal wound, which I mean you have 18 wounds, why not? And you healed in your hero phase. Reverberating Summons. If this unit's armed with a Doomsday Bell, roll a die. On a 1, nothing happens. That's sort of your hero phase. On a 2 to 5, get an extra contagion point. On a 6, get D3 extra. So you can build with him to summon. And then Plague Wind, cast on 7, range of 14. Pick a point in the battlefield and visible to the caster and draw a straight line between that and your base. Roll a die for each enemy unit that gets crossed. On a 4 plus, they get a disease point. So you can make more disease points with them. So again, a lot like Roddigus, tougher, slower, stabbier, like way more stabby, but doesn't reach out as far. Only has a 1-inch range, which on his giant round base is actually kind of a big deal. All right, and then we're into the little baby demon heroes. The Poxbringer. What do we got that's new? You are identical for your core stats. Your sword is exactly the same, except gain an attack, so 1 extra attack. Captain of the Talibans. In the combat phase, if you pick this unit to fight for the first time that phase, you can pick a friendly Plaguebearer host wholly within 12 to fight in the next order, basically. So you can fight first or fight after. Eruptive Infestation. Cast on 6. Cast 1 and binds 1. Pick a friendly Plaguebearer host within 3, and the invisible enemies that are within 3 of them take D3 mortal wounds. So basically, pick a unit that's engaged with your Plaguebearers, and they take D3 mortal wounds. Epidemius, the Tallyman. What you got going on? Epidemius, Tallyman and Nurgle. You got no changes to your core stats. Your sword only hits on a 4 plus now, instead of a 3 plus, so it lost it to hit. Otherwise, it's the same. Mounted Nurglings is exactly the same, but, oh no, wait, double in attacks. 10 attacks now with your Nurglings. Tallyman and Nurgle, at the start of your hero phase, if this unit's on the battlefield, roll the following number of dice for each of the following units and terrain features that are visible. So 3 for each Great and Clean one, 2 for each Plaguebearer host that has 10 or more models, and each Feculent Armor, and then 1 for each other friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle. For each 5 plus, add 1 to the tally of new diseases kept by Epidemius to a maximum of 7. Each new disease that is recorded allows you to reroll 1 ward roll, 1 casting roll, dispelling roll, or unbodying roll for a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle unit. Crazy. So basically, you look at your army, you roll a whole bunch of dice, and for every 5+, you just get a reroll. For wards, casting, and dispelling, and unbinding rolls. But not hits and wounds. But for wards, that's a big deal. You can reroll ward rolls, because your whole army has ward rolls. It makes you tougher. Alright, the Spoilpox Scrivener. And then my favorite, the Sloppity Bowpiper. He didn't change core stats wise. His disgusting sneezes are 7-inch range now. Everything should be 7-inch range in this army. 2+, 4+, that's it. And then Distended Maw is basically the same. 2-inch range, 3+, 3+, minus 2 now. So changed in AP. Keep counting, I'm watching you. At the start of the combat phase, you can say this unit will call for a count. Pick a friendly Plaguebearer host wholly within 14 and pick one of the following counts. So Tally Blows, +1 attacks, Studied Lacerations, -1 rend, and Recorded Stamina, add 1 to save rolls. So he still buffs Plaguebearers, basically. The Sloppity Bowpiper, core stats are the same. His Marauder is the same, looks like. 4 attacks, yep. And then Jolly Gut Pipes. At the start of the combat phase, play the pipes. The effect of that tune lasts until the end of the phase. You can't be benefited by more than 2. And none of them have any effects. A Stabbing We Will Go. Add 1 of the wound rolls for attacks made by the Nurgle Demon units. Early one evening, my Pustule is Seeping. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by a friendly Nurgle Demon unit within 14 is a 6, it does a mortal wound. I think that's the one you're going to be using. And my love is like a ripe fart. Enemy units within 3 of a friendly Nurgle Demon unit that are wholly within 14 of the one playing this tune cannot finish piling moves closer to a model in that unit than they were at the start. So you can hold people in place. That's pretty great too. Again, Bowpiper and Scrivener, both awesome support pieces. Plaguebearers. All right, so as you are the main summonable, what do we got that's changed? Oh, your save went down to 6+, but of course you have a ward. But they all gain the wound. They have 2 wounds each. That's crazy. So they doubled in presence, lost a save. Other core attack stats are the same. You get +1 your attack for your champion. You return a slain model on 1s for your standard bearer. You can reroll battle shock tests for 110 models in this unit can be a piper. Reroll battle shock tests of 1 for enemies that are within 6 of any friendly pipers. And then Cloud of Flies, -1 hit with missile attacks, as long as you have 5 or more models. You doubled in wounds. That's huge. That is a big deal. Horticlus Slimex, what do you got going on? You are a cool model I can't get anymore. And I gave to Owen, so I regret that I don't have it anymore. 4-inch move, so everybody got slower. 10 wounds, so you got 2 wounds, 3+ save, now you're a 4+ save. So you got squishier, but more wounds. Mulch is still 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 D3 damage. Your Slime Encrusted Jaws, D3, 3s and 3s, -2 damage, that's the same. Slime Trail, before you retreat, people take mortal wounds on 2+. Beast Handlers, you can reroll charge rolls for Beast and Nurgle that are wholly within 14. And +1 hit for Beast and Nurgle wholly within 14. And then Cultivating the Garden, once per battle at the start of your hero phase, you can set up a Nurgle Maw. He makes a Nurgle Maw still. Cool. I mean, he's worth it just to make the Nurgle Maw. And then Beast O Nurgle. They're so cute. I do love the new sculpt for the Beast Nurgle. I've always loved the Beast Nurgle, but this one's especially cute. Didn't change core stat wise. Still move 5 too. Filthy Claws are identical. 4 attacks, D6 attacks with the tentacles and slobbering tongue. 4s and 3s. Nope, still the same. Seek Attention. This unit can run or retreat and still charge later in the turn. And it can pass other models as if it could fly. Disease Slime, when it falls back on a 4+, take a disease point for each unit within 3 when it retreats. And then Pestilent Battering Ram, after this model finishes a charge move on a 2+, enemy takes D3 mortal wounds. If this unit has more than 1 model, we'll determine if mortal wounds are caused after each model finishes its charge move, but don't allocate them until all the models have finished. So they do impact hits. And then Nurglings, these guys were super annoying before because they would just come back to life. Same core stats, but their move went down to 4. 5 attacks, 5s and 5s, 1 damage. That's the same. They lost Disease-Ridden Demise. They have Endless Swarm, heal all wounds allocated to them at the end of the Battle Shock phase. And then Hidden Infestation, you can set them up anywhere on the table. So they're kind of the same, but they lost the Disease-Ridden Demise, which was very cool. Plague Drones. And then we're into the mortal stuff. So lost the demon units. Same core stats. Death's Head is different. Only a 7-inch range now. And then it is attacks. It's equal to the number of models in the target unit to a maximum of 7. So basically, your Death's Head, that's cool though. You attack 20 guys, you get 7 attacks. 3s and 3s, 1 damage. It's only a 7-inch range, no 14-inch gun. Plague Swords are hitting on 3s now with an extra attack. The Proboscis got 6 attacks. Claws, mouth parts, and sting is all just one. Oh, it's because they've combined it all together. It's not 3 profiles now, it's just 1. That's way easier. 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 damage. Although you lost all the Ren and you lost the multi-damage, you just get 6 attacks instead. That's way easier to keep track of. Musician's the same as the Plaguebearer one. Standard Bearer's the same as the Plaguebearer one. Champion's the same as well. And they fly. Alright, one of the mortal stuff. The Maggotkin. He's real big. The Maggotkin. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you. Are you in here? Why weren't you in here? You just weren't in here before. Oh, weird. Oh, never mind. There was no Maggotkin in here, it looks like. I thought he was around. I thought he had stats. Well, he's got stats again. I mean, Blobe did. So I thought that the Maggotkin also did. Or am I just blind? No, no. Oh, no. It was just the other ones. Orgots, Morbidex, and the other big silly guys. Okay. Oh, no, there he is. Jeez, he's the last one. Gain 2 wounds. Fixed move now of 5 inches, which is nice. He used to move 8, so he's slowed down quite a bit. But it's fixed. And he's got a 4+ save and 9 bravery. That's all the same. So Otto's Gut Spray. Oh, poor Otto. Didn't exist. No, Pestilent Torrent's what it used to be called. 12-inch range. 1 attack now. 1 attack previously goes to 7 attacks now. 3s and 3s, -2, 1 damage. So it hits better. But the damage was always 1. No, the damage before was... Oh, way different. Gurk's Foil, Pestilent Torrent. Damage was 2d6. What? Oh, it was 1 attack, though. That's why. The attacks went up, but now it's just 1 damage. Gurk's Tentacle is 3-inch range. Was it Flailing Tentacle? Oh, it gets shorter. That's crazy. It got shorter. It's all just fixed now. So it's Gurk's Tentacle's 3-inch range. It has 4 attacks, 3s and 2s, -2, 3 damage. They basically just made this way less hard to keep track of. The Maw... 3 attacks, 3s and 2s, -2, 3 damage, and then Otto's Scythe, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, d3 damage. So they just kind of consolidated it into those profiles. His wound track is also way different. It's 6, 12, 16, and 17. And then Mountain of Loathsome Flesh works the same as a Great Unclean one, but starts at 5 wounds, and then goes 4, 3, 2. He's War Master. He can cast 2 Unbind 2. Blight Krieg. You can use command ability at the end of the enemy movement phase. If the unit's within 12 inches of an enemy unit, the command must be issued by this unit and be received by another friendly Maggotkin within 12. This unit, and then the unit that received the command can attempt to charge. So your opponent charges, then you charge back. That's crazy within 12. So, yeah, you can't avoid them basically. And it's not once per game, it's just in the enemy at the end of the enemy movement phase. So if your enemy comes near you and isn't going to charge you, you can just make it happen with you and another unit. Horrific opponent, at the start of the enemy movement phase, you must roll 2d6 for each enemy unit within 3 of this unit. If the roll is equal to or greater than their bravery characteristic, they must retreat or take d6 mortal wounds. Oh my god. Mountain of Loathsome Flesh works the same. You can make a monster rampage with him. Abundance of Flesh, cast on 6 and range 14. Pick a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle unit within range and visible. Add 1 of the wound characteristic. And of course, people can die from it. So he's really expensive. I think he's like 700 points, but he's a really interesting unit. And then we got all the little baby demons, and they all kind of operate the same, but they have different like wound counts and stuff. So it's Orgot's Demon Spew. He gained 2 wounds. His save's the same. His move started at 10 before. It starts at 8 now. It's a little bit slower. His gun, Whippermaw's Grasping Tongue, is 7 attacks. 7-inch range, 1 attack. 3s and 2s, -1 d6 damage. Oh my god, imagine if it was 7 attacks. The Rod Axes gain 2 attacks. 7 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 2 damage. So that's a big improvement because it was 1 damage before. Doubles. Went from 5 potential damage to 14. And then Monstrous Claws, 3s and 2s, -2, 3 damage from 1 damage. Holy moly, these guys went way up. He also has the War Master ability, which is kind of neat. These guys weren't huge, like popular models, and they've really cranked them up. Then mount this unit's Pox Maggoth, Whippermaw's armed with its Grasping Tongue, Monstrous Claws, Acid Ichor. If an unmodified ward is a 6 on a pick an enemy within 3, they take a mortal wound. And then Lord of Nurgle, once per turn, this unit can issue a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle mortal unit without spending a command point. So he's a really, really good general choice because he's double general, so you can still have another command trait on somebody else. And like he is Orgoth Demon Spew, only 300 points. He's kind of an Andrasta, but like mixed with a Lord Imperatant, because Free Orders gets around all that shenanigans from the elves. Acid Ichor is cool defensively. His gun's really good, even if it's only 7-inch range. There's tons of healing built in, and his damage potential is crazy high. Crazy high. He's got 29 damage he can do in melee. 3s and 2s, and you can all attack to hit everything with 2s. Really good. Yeah, and like just meat and potatoes good, but like the free command can be worth it by itself. And because he always counts as being general too, it's an 18-inch command bubble. Blobe, he's got 1 less wound, 4+ save, bravery 9, vile bile, shoots further, 14-inch range, d3 shots, 3s and 2s, -2 d3 damage. And then the Harvestman's Scythe, and this is the wizard one, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 2 damage, and then the Monstrous Claws are the same as on Orgoth. Same kind of bracket, it's at almost half wound, so like 6, 9, 11, and 12 for all the brackets. 8-inch move goes to 5, and the claws attacks go down as well. His Pox Maggot has its different attacks. He's a cast 1 to spell 1. He has Demon Fly, start of the combat phase, and the enemy shooting phase. So the start of the combat phase and the enemy shooting phase. Roll a dice for each enemy within 7. On a 4+, they take a mortal wound and they're -1 to hit. So he's just a debuff aura built into a wizard. And then Wind Speaker Bells, add 1 of the casting rolls for this unit. In addition, subtract 1 from enemy wizards casting within 14. And then Miasma of Pestilence, it's a spell that casts on a 6 and range of 14. If cast, pick an enemy unit within range invisible until your next hero phase. Roll dice at the end of each phase in which any wounds mortal wounds are allocated to that unit. On a 2+, take an additional d3 mortal wounds. So anytime they get wounded on a 2+, they also take d3 extra mortal wounds. That is a curse and a half, and it's every phase. Whew, you could really, like, you can cast it on something, and then for the rest of the turn just pick at it, and every time it gets picked out, it takes d3 mortal wounds. So like, just do all your shooting at it or something like that, and it would just explode phase by phase. Great way to kill a character. Or anything that you chip damage, you know what I mean? And then Morbidex Twiceborn, he's my favorite, because it's a Nurgling that grew out of a guy's stomach until he became the Nurgling. Same move stats and core stats for the Monstrous Claws and movement. 12 wounds, 3+ save, bravery 9. The Slabberous Tongue, 7-inch range, 3 attacks, 3s and 2s to start. -1, 1 damage. So worse of the shooting. The Flush Reaper Scythe, 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. And the Monstrous Claws. But I think he's the cheapest. He's the Lord of the Nurglings. That's right, but he's almost impossible to kill. At the end of the Battle Shock phase, heal half the wounds that have been allocated to this unit, rounding up. And then Lord of Nurglings, at the start of the hero phase, you can return a slain model to a friendly Nurgling unit within 7. He's so neat. Is he cheap, though? So Orgoth's is 300, Twiceborn is 320, because he's just almost impossible to kill, and then Orgoth's is 300. That's right, yeah, Blobe is 300. They're all 300 except for the Nurgling one, which is 320, because he just heals all the time. All right, Mounted Lord of Afflictions, 8-inch move. 8 wounds, 3+ save, bravery 9. How have you changed? Lord of Afflictions. I like they turned up the three brothers to 11. Why can't I find you? Pascal Blightlord, Lord of Afflictions. Did you not exist before? No, you're there. I'm like, just not seeing anything. So your bravery went down by 1, but your save went up by 1. The Fester Pike is an extra attack, but otherwise the same. Lost a range, actually. Only range 1 now. And then the Claws, Mouth Parts, and Sting just got loaded together like all the rest of them did. He flies. Incubatch. If this unit has an Incubatch in your hero phase, roll a... Sorry, you get to pick if you have an Incubatch, I guess, or not. On a 2+, they take a mortal wound for each enemy unit within 3. If that unit has the Nurgle keyword, it suffers 1 mortal wound on a 6+ instead. And then Rack and Ruin. After this unit finishes a charge move, roll a die. For each enemy unit within 1, add 2 to the rolls. If it's armed with a Dolorous Toxin, that's why. So you get to basically pick it which one. Either do 2+ impact hits or 4+ impact hits, and you get the range mortal wounds. The Swarm descends during deployment. Instead of setting up this unit in the battlefield, you can put them in the sky. If you do so when you would set up a friendly Plague Drones or Pascal Blightlord's unit, then you can go in the sky as well, and up to 2 can join him. And then you can drop down on the battlefield wholly within 12 of this unit and more than 9 from the enemy. So basically, you form a little detachment up to 2 other units, and you get to go in the sky. Gutrot Spume, what's going on with you? You've changed. You gained a wound, lost a save, same movement. Your axe gained nothing, lost a range, and your tentacles went to 6 flat attacks, 2s and 4s, 1 damage. Your Towering Arrogance, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks by this unit that target a hero. If it's within 1, it has to attack the hero. Master of the Slime Fleet, because you're a pirate. During deployment, instead of setting up on the battlefield, you can say that you'll be aboard the Slime Fleet as a reserve. And then you can set up another unit with him. Up to 3 mortal units can join him. At the end of... And units that were reinforced count as 2. At the end of your movement phase, you can set up this unit on the battlefield more than 9 for the enemy and within 6 of a battlefield edge. So you can outflank with him, basically. That's pretty cool. Lord of Blights, what do you got going on? Have you changed at all? You gained a save to 3+. Your Thrice Ripened Death Heads get a... Oh, you changed to Putrid Explosions, just like the ones on the Plague Drones. So basically, it's number of models in the unit is your attack characteristic up to 7. So 3+, 3+, -1 damage. And then Munificent Bounty, at the start of your shooting phase, you can pick a friendly Putrid Blight Kings unit within 7, and they can shoot in the shooting phase using the Thrice Ripened Death Heads missile weapon profile. So basically, you give them out to other guys. That's pretty cool. So each one of your Lord of Blights gives guns to your other unit. And then Lord of Blight Kings in the combat phase, when you pick this guy to fight, you can pick a friendly Blight Kings unit within 12 and have them fight in any order. So it's cool, you get to double dip on them. And your hammer's cool. It's got an extra attack now, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. Festus, still giving that guy that drink all these years later. He gained nothing. Of course, that's the same. He's got 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, D3 damage now with his Plague Staff. He casts and unbinds 1. Delightful Blues and Splendid Restoratives. At the start of your phase, you can pick a unit within 1. If you pick a friendly unit, roll a die. On a 2+, heal D3 wounds. On an enemy unit, they take D3 mortal wounds on a 2+. And the Leech Lord's Curse, cast on 7, range 14. Pick an enemy that's visible. Subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks to target them for the rest of the battle. But you can't target them more than once. So he curses you forever. And then the Harbinger of Decay. The Harbinger of, I still have this model in metal. 7-inch movie dropped down to 6. 3+ save though now. Other than that, the core stats are the same. So gained a save, lost a move. Plague Scythe is exactly the same. Flyblown Bite is 4 attacks now, flat, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. And he has the Augur of Entropy. If any friendly units with this ability are within 7 of the general, as sort of the first battle round, you receive D3 extra command points. Holy moly. He gives D3 extra command points every turn. Just no dice roll, just gives them. And then Shudderblight, at the start of the combat phase, pick an enemy unit within 3 of this unit and roll a die. On a 3+, they cannot issue or receive orders that phase. Holy moly, he's really interesting utility piece for being a wicked old model. All right, here's our new model, the Rotbringer Sorcerer. This is the new guy. I think I said completely the wrong. I think I said Lord of Afflictions was the new one at the beginning. It's not. It's the Rotbringer Sorcerer. I got completely wrong at the beginning of this because they all sound kind of the same. And he didn't exist. He was just the Sorcerer before, but now he's the Rotbringer Sorcerer. He's just a new name. 3-inch range to his Rotwood Staff now. 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1, and just 1 damage. So his combat profile went down a little bit. Core stats the same. Cast 1 on Bind 1 and different spell, Tainted Endless Spell. If this unit summons an Endless Spell for the purpose of the Diseased battle trait, that Endless Spell is treated as having the Maggotkin of Nurgle keyword that is in the same army as this unit. So that's interesting because that means that that Endless Spell will give out disease points. So you can use it as a vector basically. And then Stream of Corruption, cast on 6, range 7. Pick an enemy unit within range invisible and roll 1 dice for each model in that unit. On a 5+, they take a mortal wound. Before attempting to cast this spell, you can take it up to 14. So basically the same Great Unclean One spell. Lord of Plagues. 4 attacks now. I think his core stats are the same. Yeah, I definitely said Lord of Afflictions at the beginning of this, and I was just completely wrong. Lord of Plagues. There he is. I have this guy painted. 4-inch move. Lost 2 bravery. Went to bravery 7. Still 4+ save. He's got 4 attacks instead of 3. 3s and 3s, -1 D3 damage. Wanton Slaughter became 7-fold Slaughter. At the start of the combat phase, you can basically pick a unit of putrid Blight Kings within 12 and add 1 to their attack characteristic. Rotten Corpse Mulch, get a contagion point for each enemy unit that's destroyed by an attack made by this unit. And Lord of the Blight Kings, you can double down with him fighting with a Blight King unit. And then Flecula Flyblown. This is the sweet unit from... Are you another unit? There you are. From the Worm Spot. She's a sorcerer. Her core stats are the same. She's got the same bravery. Cast 1 and binds 1. She's got 3 attacks instead of 1 now, with a 3-inch range. 4s and 3s, -1. D3 went to 1 damage though. So she lost her D3 damage and just got more attacks, but went up in range by 1 inch. The Wretchling. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can choose for this unit to channel the power of its familiar, cast an additional spell. Tainted Endless Spell, same as the one for the Rotbringer Sorcerer. Stream of Corruption is the same as well. And then the Worm Spat, who are basically just a couple Blight Kings. There's 2 of them, 5 attacks each now, 3s and 3s, -1 damage. And they've got 5 wounds each, 4+ save, bravery 8. If Fecula's in 3 and you would allocate a wound or mortal wound to her, on a 4+, put them to her instead, or these guys instead. And then Relentless Attacker, same as the Blight Kings have. At the end of the combat phase, pick an enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 3 or less that's within 3 of this unit. Roll 1 dice for each model in this unit that's within 3. For each roll that exceeds their enemy's wound characteristic, they take a mortal wound. They just keep on fighting. They just blenderize through. And that takes us to Putrid Blight Kings. They've got 4 wounds each. Oh my god, 4-inch move. Bravery 8, basically the same core stats as before. They didn't get that 5th wound. If only they had that 5th wound, they'd count as 2 models, and that's what you really needed. But you could give them a 5th wound with a spell. See, they were thinking. Make them worth 2. Just cakes a spell. The +1 wound thing actually has a bunch of different impacts, but that is a big one, that your guys count as 2 models. 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 damage with their weapons. They gain 2 attacks each and a rend. The 1 model unit could be a champion, and they have 5 wounds, so they count as 2 models. And then Standard Bearer, +1 bravery. Musician, you can reroll battle shock rolls of 1 from units. They're within 6 of them. And then Relentless Attacker is the same as the Worm Spot. If you have 3 or less wounds, you get to roll a die for each of the Blight Kings at the end of the combat. And on a greater than your wound stat, you take a mortal wound. And then Warscroll Blight Lords. They are 7, you went to 8 wounds. Kept the core stats the same otherwise. Consolidate the claws, mouth parts, and sting. Bladed weapon is 5 attacks now, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage, which is a big improvement by 2 attacks and a rend. And then they fly. They are elite, so they can issue commands to their own unit, even though they don't have a champion. And then 1 in every 2 models can also be armed with the Dolorous Toxin. Rack and Ruin. After a model in this unit finishes a charge move, roll a die for each enemy unit within 1. Add 2 to the, if they have a Dolorous Toxin on a 4+, take D3 mortal wounds. And then Relentless Attackers, same as for the Putrid Blight Kings. The Gnarlmaw. It's Impassable, Spreading Disease. This faction terrain feature can never be set up within 7 of their maw, or within 3 of an objective or terrain. Uproot. If this terrain feature is affected by a rule that says you cannot use a scenery rule or Warscroll, remove this terrain feature from play instead. So you basically, it gets picked up if it gets its like rules taken away by like a gate crash or something like that. And then Encroaching Corruption. This terrain feature is treated as a friendly unit with the Maggotkin of Nurgle keyword for the disease. In addition, at the start of your hero phase, get an extra contagion point for each Feculent Gnarlmaw in your army that is on the battlefield and has no enemies within 3. And that's it. So the big thing is how much did the points change for Plaguebearers to go that expensive? So let's just do some Nurgle. Let's make an army list here. Nurgle, choose army faction. What is this? Maggotkin Nurgle? LMN. There we go. Choose sub-faction. Don't care, but I'll just do no sub-faction. And then choose battle pack. Contest generals. No sub-faction. And then choose point limits. Let's say just 1,000 points to build a list with. Create army. All right, so just your battle line. Plaguebearers only went up 40 points to go to 20 wounds. And Blight Kings, they went up, however. They are 250 points now, as opposed to 165. Both are battle line, though. They are not the only battle line, though. If you play Drowned Men, or if your general's Lord of Afflictions, Warscroll Blight Lords are also battle line, which is a huge deal. You can take a 1-man unit of battle line as well, so that you can take your box and make a Lord of Afflictions on a thing. And then it costs 110. So your Plaguebearers are 150, Blight Kings are 250, Epidemius went up to, or did he go down? No, he went down actually to 145 from 180. Fecula is 255, Festus is 150, he went up 10. Gottfried Spume is 170, although his like movement shenanigans, I believe, are well worth that 25-point increase. Harbinger of Decay is 140. Slimix with a free tree is 225, same as before. Lord of Afflictions is 210. Lord of Blights is 150. Plagues is 145. Poxbringer is 145. Rotbringer is 145. The Rot Coven, if you want to take it, and you can only take it as a Filthbringer's army, they're referred to as a Rot Coven. They're 360 points. So basically, your sorcerers go down to 120 if you take 3 of them in a Filthbringer's army, which is pretty cool. And they're +2 to cast each. The Bowpiper is 130. Your Scrivener is 120. Blobe is 300. The Glotkin is 700 points. Great Unclean One is 495. Morbidex is 320. Orgots is 300. Rotigus is 495. So Rotigus is the same price as the Great Unclean One now. Beast Nurgle are 110. Nurglings are 105. Plague Drones are 200. A Battle Line of a Droning Guard army. And then Beast Nurgle are Battle Line and a Befouling Host army. So other Battle Line that you can take. Warscrolls, like I said, Battle Line and Drowned Men to 220. Warscroll Blight Lords are 110 as a single unit. And then the Feculent Gnarlmaw is 0. Allies, Blades of Corn, Heat Knights of Slaanesh, Slaves to Darkness, excluding Tzeentch. And units that can or must be given a Mark of Chaos. So you take those only as coalition, right? So you could still take a allied like markless unit from those. You could take Cabal units. You could take the Cyclops thing, a bunch of those guys. But no Beasts of Chaos, if you notice. They're only available as coalition. And that's it. So, Maggotkin of Nurgle, interesting. Leaning into the disease thing, I like that they introduced a whole new mechanic in the disease points. It makes them very, very, very unpredictable. Like, you can't super rely on it. You can stack the points, but they might not work. sometimes they will work, and sometimes, you know, the bad guys will just melt. Like, that's a lot of mortal wound damage. I don't know. I feel like I actually don't know how this is going to do. I feel like the book is quite strong, but with the variability of the disease points getting put on, and also like the way they only half work basically over the course of the game, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to do. But it's terrifying to like characters and stuff racking up disease points, then all of a sudden just melting in the background because there's no like actual defense against it. I guess you can dispel the spells that create it, but by standing nearby, you're always going to have one typically, and as soon as you get one too, the grand strategy is going to be able to go off. There's a lot here that's neat. And I'm excited to paint the Vanguard for it and give it a try. So anyway, big thanks for watching. Big thanks for Workshop sending along this review copy to check out. And until next time, I'm Ash. Have a great day. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Desperate Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.